11 Alive Plus, I'm Faith Jesse.
And I'm Cheryl Preheim. We begin with a story you'll only see here on 11 Alive News. A rapper's family identifies her as the woman shot to death in southeast Atlanta.
That's right. 11 Alive's Chase Howell spoke to the family, who believes she may have been targeted because she was pregnant.
Let me tell you about a Tuesday night in Atlanta that ended with a white Range Rover rolling to a stop in the middle of the street. Engine still running, doors still closed, and a woman slumped in the driver's seat with 4 bullet wounds to her face. Nobody heard a fight. Nobody heard an argument. What the neighbors heard was gunfire cutting through the quiet of 1:23 in the morning. And by the time Atlanta police got to 2920, Springside Place SE, Qualeisha Barnes was already gone. Pronounced dead right there on the scene. No ambulance ride. No last words. Just gone. And here's the part that will stay with you. She was 14 weeks pregnant. That means when whoever did this looked at Qualicia and pulled that trigger, not once, not twice, but 4 times, all to her face, they weren't just killing her. They were killing the baby she was carrying, the life she was growing, the future she hadn't even announced to the world yet. And that right there tells you something about the kind of hatred or desperation or calculated coldness that was sitting behind this crime. Now, before we go any further, I need you to understand who Qualeisha Barnes was. Because she was not just a name in a police report. She was a whole person. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's best friend. And she was building something real with her life. Multiple somethings, actually. And we're going to get into all of that because she deserves more than a headline. But first, if you're new here, welcome to Shadow Crime. This is the channel where we don't just read you the news. We sit with these cases. We ask the hard questions. We talk about the people behind the stories. So if that sounds like your kind of community, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss when we drop a new case. This channel only grows when you guys show up, and showing up starts with that subscribe button. Now let's get back to Qualeisha. She went by Siditty. That was her rap name. And honestly, it fit her perfectly because according to everyone who knew her, that name was not just a brand. It was a personality. Her mother, Francine Lopez Stewart, explained it simply. She said Qualeisha loved makeup. She loved dressing up. She loved beauty. She was Siditty. And you could see that energy all over her music, all over her boutique, all over the way she carried herself publicly. She was from Detroit originally, Motor City born and raised. But she'd been living in Atlanta for close to a decade by the time she died, building her life in a city that was supposed to be her next chapter, not her last one.
I'm Faith Jesse.
And I'm Cheryl Preheim. We begin with a story you'll only see here on 11 Alive News. A rapper's family identifies her as the woman shot to death in southeast Atlanta.
That's right. 11 Alive's Chase Howell spoke to the family, who believes she may have been targeted because she was pregnant.
According to the family of Qualeisha Barnes, she was 14 weeks pregnant when she was shot 4 times in the face.
Probably because I know I'm worth a milli.
You may know her by her stage name, Siditty.
The only ditty in my city with a lyrics.
But those closest to her know her as a daughter and a sister.
I know her as Qualicia. I know her as Lily. I know her as we in the same house, in the same bed. That's what I know her as. All that friend stuff, I don't care about none of that. That was my sister. That was my baby.
Give us the strength that we need to survive.
Hand in hand in prayer, the family of Qualeisha Barnes asked God for strength while coming to terms with her senseless killing. And it's moments like this that are helping them deal with her death.
Generally, if you met Lily, you instantly loved her. And she was such a jokester, you know. She liked to laugh, and she always cracking jokes on me.
Barnes's mom, Francine Lopez Stewart, says her rap name fits her perfectly.
She loved makeup. She loved dressing up. She loved beauty. So, and she was Siditty.
But Barnes wasn't just a rapper. She was also an aspiring nurse.
She made the dean's list. She had like 2 more semesters to go. She was so proud of herself, and we were so proud of her.
As for what justice looks like, Lopez Stewart says seeing not just one person held responsible, but multiple, because she believes her daughter was set up.
If you instigate something that causes a murder, then you need some kind,
You need something. I think you need to go to jail too.
According to Barnes' family, she had been living in the metro Atlanta area for about 10 years. As far as the investigation into who may have killed her, well, Atlanta police says that's still under investigation. In Atlanta, Chase Howell, 11 Alive News.
Now here is what I really want you to sit with for a second. Qualeisha Barnes was not doing one thing with her life. She was doing everything at the same time. And I think that is important because a lot of times when we cover cases like this, the victim gets reduced to one identity, one label, one box. And Qualeisha absolutely refuses to fit into a box. Yes, she was a rapper, and she was good at it. She had built real credibility in the Detroit hip-hop scene, collaborating with some serious names. I Swear Vetso, Babyface Ray, Peasy. These are not small names. These are artists with real followings, real respect in the streets and in the industry. And she was in that circle. She was holding her own. Tracks like Get a Check and Bad Lil B showed she had a brash, confident, unapologetic approach to her music that people genuinely connected with. But she did not stop there. Because Qualicia understood something that a lot of independent artists figure out the hard way. That music alone is not always enough to keep the lights on and the dream alive. So she built a business. She founded and ran an online clothing boutique called Siditty Boutique, and she was the CEO of that company, not a co-founder, not a partner, the CEO. She built that from the ground up, and it was running while she was rapping, while she was in school, while she was pregnant. Think about that for a second, because here is the third thing she was doing simultaneously. She was in nursing school, and not just showing up and getting by. She had made the dean's list. Her mother told reporters that she had only 2 semesters left before she would have graduated. 2 semesters. She was that close to becoming a nurse. That close to adding an entirely new chapter to a life that was already full of chapters. And her family was proud of her in a way that only family can be proud. The kind of pride that comes from watching someone you love grind in silence and then start to see it pay off. Her mother said it directly. She said Qualeisha was so proud of herself. And they were so proud of her. I want you to hold on to that, because that detail matters when we start talking about what happened to her. A woman that close to the finish line does not walk into danger carelessly. A woman juggling a music career, a business, and nursing school on the dean's list is a woman who is focused. She is locked in. She has too much to lose. So what was she doing on Springside Place SE at 1:23 in the morning? What led her to that street at that hour? And who knew she would be there? Those questions matter, and the answers, or the lack of them, are about to tell us a lot.
Developing news tonight, a pregnant rapper from Detroit is murdered in Atlanta. She was shot 4 times in the face this week, and her family tells us they have a good idea why she was targeted and killed.
Know her as Qualeisha Barnes. Followers of Detroit and Atlanta hip-hop know her as Siditty. Qualicia and her family are all from Southwest Detroit. She's been in Atlanta for a decade. The 36-year-old was 14 weeks pregnant, shot 4 times in the face in the middle of the night while in a car in Atlanta this week.
I heard gunshots, like maybe 4 or 5 gunshots, and then a car, Honda, just flew up the street. Like 20, 30 minutes later, the cops everywhere.
Atlanta police say it looks like someone shot through the windshield and drove off. They're using security video to piece it all together. Qualicia's family says she was targeted because she was pregnant.
We've got a general idea of the route that was taken, so we're going to have to backtrack some information to figure out the exact circumstance, if anybody was with her or not.
On top of her music, Qualicia was 2 semesters out from earning a nursing degree that will never be. Family, though, says they're going to get whoever did this.
The family is all currently down in Atlanta. We talked by phone tonight. They are planning her funeral right now. It will be back here in Detroit.
So here's where this case takes a turn that stopped me cold when I first read it. Because when Qualicia's family came forward to speak to the media, they did not say this was random. They did not say she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. They looked the cameras dead in the eye and said they believe this was a targeted attack. And the reason they believe it was targeted? The pregnancy. Let that land for a second. The family believes that someone specifically came for Qualicia because she was carrying that baby. Not because of her music. Not because of her boutique. because of the child she was growing inside of her at 14 weeks. That is not a theory pulled from thin air. That is a family who knew Qualeisha, who knew her circle, who knew her life, and that is a conclusion they arrived at after processing what happened to her. And then her mother, Francine Lopez Stewart, said something that I think is the most chilling line in this entire case. She said she believes more than one person was involved, not just the shooter, more than one person. And she wants accountability for all of them. She said, and I am quoting her directly here, "If you instigate something that causes a murder, then you need something. I think you need to go to jail too." Now think about what that language means. You do not say instigate unless you believe someone set something in motion. You do not say set up unless you believe there was planning involved. This mother is not describing a random shooting. She is describing a coordinated act. Someone who pulled the trigger and someone or multiple someones who pointed that trigger in Qualacia's direction. And right now, Atlanta police are out here reviewing surveillance footage, canvassing the neighborhood, knocking on doors, trying to retrace exactly where Qualacia's Range Rover was before it rolled to that stop on Springside Place. They have not named a suspect. They have not made an arrest. The investigation is open and ongoing, and if you have any information at all, Crime Stoppers Atlanta will take your tip anonymously at 404-577-TIPS. That number matters, because right now the people who did this are still out there. So let me ask you something directly, and I want you to really think about this. What kind of person looks at a woman who is 14 weeks pregnant, who is 2 semesters away from her nursing degree, who is running her own business, who is making music and building a legacy, and decides that she needs to die? What level of anger or jealousy or desperation does that take? And what does it say about the world Qualeisha was navigating that even all of that success, all of that momentum, could not protect her from what found her that night? Was this about the baby's father? Was this about someone in her personal life who could not handle what she was becoming? Was it someone who smiled in her face and then made a phone call? And why 4 shots to the face? That is not a warning. That is a message. But a message to who? Justice for Qualeisha Barnes and her unborn child starts with somebody talking. If you know something, say something. And if this case moved you the way it moved me, share this video so more people know her name. Like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and hit that bell icon so you are here when we get updates on this case. Qualeisha deserved her 2 remaining semesters. She deserved to hold that baby. She deserved more. And the least we can do is make sure her story is heard.